Hello, nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. This is great, and we've got a good guest tonight. But have you all been looking into the Marmite story of how they're not doing the large jars of Marmite? I'm a bit of a Marmite addict, but because there's a shortage of brewer's yeast because of the pubs not being around so much, well, they're not around at all, are they? Some of them are serving outside. But that's been quite amazing. I've just thought, because I tried to buy it and I ended up buying 2 small bottles at the weekend because we all love our Marmite on some of my nice sourdough that I've just made. There we are. Oh, I can't hear. Someone's just said, thank you. I've turned up. So I'm there. Everyone else hear me? Someone's saying they can't hear me, but I'm here. Anyone able to comment? Hello. Cheers.
Hi. How you
Very
doing?
nice to meet you. This is Chris
Likewise.
Mair. Let me introduce you, Chris. So Chris is the guy behind Sublime Butter, which he launched just before Christmas 2019. He saw there was a gap in the market, and Sublime Butter is an amazing butter. I've actually bought it from my butcher's, I have to say. That's where I saw you. So Chris, welcome to Kitchen Conversations from the Cookbook Festival.
Thank you very much. I hope my internet connection holds up.
We're pausing
around this part.
Yeah, we're pausing a bit. It would be good if no one else in your house was on the internet. That helps.
I can arrange that quickly if you want.
I don't know if you've got youngsters, because it'll keep just
I
pausing.
do. Give me 2 secs.
Okay, I'll keep chatting about Marmite. Who else likes Marmite? It's one of those things you either love or you hate. But I love Marmite. And on hot toast, it gets me going in the morning. I love it underneath tomatoes as well. I think it's really good that way. But also I do sometimes mix it up with some Philadelphia or some cheese. But I've also been putting, I can't think what it's called, the paste that you add to Japanese cooking. That's really nice on toast, that you make the little garum with. Hi, Chris, welcome back.
I've instructed all my 3 children to get off the internet, so hopefully that might improve things.
Apologies, I know, but it will just make it better. That's all. So tell us, I want to know, because you set up a steak club, and that's how you decided I need some butter because we need to ramp up our steaks.
Yeah, that's kind of the story in a nutshell. I've run a steak club now for 11 years. It's called the Steak Appreciation Society, and it started. I read a book called Beef and Liberty, which is a fantastic story about 18th century London and the creation of probably what was the first ever steak club, called the Sublime Society of the Beef Steak, which obviously is the inspiration behind the name for our butter as well. And I read this book and I got fascinated by it. I mean, it's a great story. It was created by the guy who was the who was the manager of the Theatre Royal in Covent Garden.
Okay.
And he
Oh dear, we're freezing. We're freezing, Chris.
Okay, I'm gonna move somewhere else in the house. Bear with me.
We're freezing a lot. I'd sit near your router. Janet, I agree with you, Marmite has gone runny. I put mine in the fridge and it stiffens it up and brings it back to the old school Marmite that we all used to eat. This is interesting. We're having a tour of Chris's house.
Really?
Sorry about this, everyone.
Apologies. Right, I've come down to my kitchen, so hopefully the dog won't disturb. Yeah, so it's a fascinating story. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great, yeah. It was a fascinating story about this guy who's a manager of the Theatre Royal in Covent Garden. And over the years, this steak club became a very, very famous steak club, attended by lords, and even the Prince of Wales joined. So it's a little bit of English history that not many people know about. And I was so fascinated by the story that I decided to create my own steak club, and I called it the Steak Appreciation Society. And I invited a bunch of friends. This is typical for my house, by the way.
Don't worry, it's fine.
You can imagine what it's like trying to run the business from here as well. We do very well, my wife. That's Tilly over there, by the way.
Hi, Tilly.
Hi.
Hello. Hello. Nice to see you.
Tilly does all of well, she in fact runs most of the things in Sublime. She's just come back from the factory just now, actually. Yeah, so I created my own steak club, and we originally just 6 friends of ours, and then it's grown. We've got 46 members now, and over the years we've gone to some fantastic steak restaurants. And in the last 10 years, we've had somewhat of a steak renaissance in London, in terms of the quality of restaurants and the quality of meat that you can find out and about. And obviously through the steak club, we've been to some fantastic places as well, some great produce. But one thing I always thought was, from an accompaniment point of view, there was nothing really that really kind of I thought works. A lot of the kind of popular sauces like béarnaise and peppercorn and so on, for me, they drown out the flavour of the meat itself. And we've invested as a country so much in terms of producing great quality meats, that it's a shame to kind of kill them with these big thick sauces. So I set about creating a new type of flavour, in fact, and I hired a flavour development chef, and together we worked up about 11 or 12 different types of steak accompaniments, new things that hadn't been done, all sorts of rubs and oils and all sorts. And it was not long until we settled on the butter as a concept, and it was a bit of a eureka moment, really. It was like, why has no one else done this before? Why is there not a flavoured butter company out there before? And so we began developing the range of flavoured butters, and we launched with 3 flavours last year: the chimichurri, garlic, mint, and rosemary, and the truffle and pepper and parmesan. And those 3 kind of, we used to kind of just go out there into butcher shops and farm shops, and we hit the road basically. And myself and Stuart, one of our partners, he and I kind of drove around and literally just went into butcher shop after butcher shop after butcher shop. And we ended up getting in about, over the course of the last year, I think we're about 150 or 160 now. And obviously the word has started to spread, so we're getting quite a lot of people come to us now as well, which is fantastic. And just starting now to get into some slightly larger places as well. So we just signed up with Donald Russell, who are
they're very good.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah, so we're going to be with them as of next month.
Okay.
So that's a big step up for us, because.
And you're also with Farmerson, so people can get it delivered to their home, aren't you?
Yeah, and Farmerson, I'll tell you, since the lockdown began, Farmerson orders have just been going off the charts. It's crazy. Yeah. And we've also been approached by a number of other kind of meat box style companies, because I think one of the effects of lockdown is that a lot of wholesalers have been forced, and they've been forced into creating this new direct to consumer model, because otherwise they wouldn't really be able to stay in business, many of them. So we're seeing some great quality wholesale produce that would otherwise have been destined for the top restaurants, arriving in boxes at people's homes. And from our perspective, ours is the perfect product to accompany those types of orders. So every day we're talking to new companies who are doing this at the moment. It's quite exciting.
It's very spoiling the quality of food that we've been able to get into our homes, as you say, because the restaurants haven't taken them. And anyone who's a foodie is able to really benefit. But you don't just need to put them on steaks. You can put it on fish. You can put it on vegetables. You can toss it through pasta. So for anyone who's a vegetarian, keep watching, because this is interesting.
Yeah. Well, it was the inspiration for the whole idea came about from steak. but it, when we started playing around with flavors,
Yeah.
it wasn't long before kind of, we realized that this product is far more versatile than just adding as a steak accompaniment. So the original idea was that, we called it a resting butter. So, you'd leave it on the melt and the steak and it would slowly melt over the steak. But, it's butter, and butter is probably one of the most versatile ingredients in your kitchen. You can have it with every meal of the day. You can use it snacking. So we want to explore, and we've already begun to explore the kind of all the range of different flavors that we can use for breakfast, lunch, sandwiches, dinners, bread making, whatever it may be. So yeah, it's all quite exciting. We've got probably we've got 6 flavors in market now. So since the original 3, we added our number 1, which is pink Himalayan salt. So that's just pink Himalayan salted butter, and that's really what we're hoping will be, our the primary product in terms of sales, because obviously that's a butter, plain, salted butter is a very, very versatile thing which you can use for all sorts.
Yeah.
And then we just launched last week. We've launched 2 cracking flavors. We've been trying to get béarnaise off the ground since we launched, but it's been quite a tricky process because of the tarragon oil. Finding the right supplier for the tarragon oil, because a key thing for us is we're really aiming for good quality ingredients in everything that we do, and finding the right supplier for our tarragon oil was tricky, but ultimately we found one. We're producing in a farm in Somerset called Brew Valley, and they are fully kind of BRC accredited. So it's very critical that all of the ingredients that come into any of the products that we make are approved and gone through the right kind of have the right approvals to actually end up in our product. So yeah, and then the other one is a garlic and herb. We did a garlic and herb last week as well. And that's,
what about, are you doing horseradish and tomato or not?
Well, the horseradish and tomato is on the back burner at the moment.
Okay.
Just because I guess that was really when we first started. We were thinking steak purely, and since we've begun kind of flavor development, we have thought more kind of creating products which are a bit more versatile, that can go
flexible,
with other things other than meat. So yeah, and the garlic and herb is, obviously a garlic and herb is you can use it on anything. I mean, it's fantastic what the content that we're getting through our Instagram account on a daily basis of what people are doing with the butters that we're creating is really incredible. I mean, we have tens of people every single day sending us their recipes and what they've done and pictures, and it's fantastic for us to see that as well, because it's obviously creating a product that people are using, and it's great. It makes for great content for our Instagram feed, which is growing.
I know you've got a very tasty Instagram feed, I have to say, and it's quite diverse in what you can cook, which is nice. That's really nice.
Yeah, that's all down to Tilly.
Oh, is it? Aha, okay. But I love
fantastic job.
I love one of your catchphrases is "spread the love." I think that's very clever. Who came up with that one?
That was always going to come in.
Yeah.
I think every second person, everyone says that. It's a great one, but obviously.
Yeah, it's very funny. But I love the fact also that you're very particular about the quality of your ingredients. And as you say, your butter comes from a farm down in Somerset, where they already make butter. Their cows are well looked after. They're fed a nice mixed diet on the flats of Somerset. And every ingredient that you put in your butters to flavour them, it has to be the best. Yeah,
absolutely. And the other thing as well is that they use old churning techniques. So they're same churning techniques that they've been using for decades and decades. And because of that, you get a really nice, rich and creamy base product as well. So the butter, even, the butter without any flavor at all, is a great base product. And then, the the flavors, you know, just add to it really. I guess from one of the things that we were looking to do, and one of the ways in which we're talking about our flavored butter, is that in many ways it's kind of a new type of convenience product, because you know, at the end of the day, home cooking is the best, and there's never going to be a substitute for that. So, you know, despite the fact that, you know, we're seeing a lot more kind of home delivery services like Deliveroo and so on, and even some of the kind of prepared meal delivery services as well. There's no substitute for going out and buying your own ingredients and then, you know, doing it yourself at home. But at the same time, we can't ignore the fact that, you know, people are still time poor, and, you know, they haven't got all that time to go and kind of do all those different things. So it's just a little way in which we can make home cooking that little bit more convenient, because rather than go out and buy your garlic and chop up your garlic and get your herbs and chop up your herbs and so on and so forth, you know, you can just use our butter instead, which does the whole thing for you. So it's a real simple way in which you can make home cooking more convenient.
Because I will say, flavoured butters are really easy to make, but your butter's always hard, and so you have to wait for it to soften so you can mix it all through properly, and then you just go, oh, I can't be bothered, and you stop. So you've given this packet that people can just cook their fish and then slice whichever they fancy on top and enjoy it.
That's right. That's exactly right. We've got
Go on, you go.
I was going to say, whilst on the subject of flavors, we've got a Christmas butter coming out later in the year as well. So that should be out in November. Which is.
Can you tell us what's in it?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just going to say it tastes like Christmas.
Okay, tastes like Christmas.
It's a bit too early to disclose the recipe. You never know. You never know who's listening.
Okay, no, I get your point. Someone's just asked, would you ever think of adding flavoured goat's butters?
It hasn't been discussed yet, but never say never.
No.
You know, I guess one of the benefits of being a small business like ours is the fact that, you know, we can turn things around quite quickly, and we can innovate quite quickly as well. So, you know, whereas you're a big organization would have to go through kind of layers and layers of process to, you know, get new flavors introduced, we can turn things around pretty quickly. You know, obviously we need to work with the farm to get things done in terms of production level, but in terms of the recipe development itself, you know, we can get something from an idea to at least a kind of a product prototype within, you know, a couple of weeks really. So so never say never. One of the things I'd really like to do at some point in time would be doing some meat-based stuff. So for example, bone marrow butter would be a really nice thing to try. What else? A Café de Paris butter is something that we've had on right from the beginning. But the one challenge with that is just the fact that the making flavored butter is actually a bit more complicated than you'd imagine at scale. It's easy to do at home in your kitchen, but at scale it's quite complicated, and the reasons around that, because cross-contamination in the farm is one thing. So the farm produces plain butter, you know, for multiple clients, and there can't be any cross-contamination at all, none whatsoever. So the flavor side of things has to be done in a separate room altogether, so a completely different part of the factory. And every single flavor we make, after each flavor is produced, the whole room has got to be washed down and sanitized, and then the next flavor goes in. So you can imagine it's quite a complex thing. Now, when it comes to a meat perspective, they're not even allowed to bring meat products into that room. So to get to the next level, we'd have to build a new factory.
Find another unit, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we might get there eventually. But
that's quite a big step. How did you find the farm, Chris?
Through spending a lot of time researching and meeting various people, and ultimately, you know, it was probably the most important decision that we made since starting, really. We need to find someone who has got those capabilities of producing flavored butter. B has got the capability for us to work with them in terms of the availability and resources, and C, probably most importantly, a group of people who you get on well with and you can work with as essentially business partners. They've been fantastic to us since day one.
Because they make their own butter, don't they, as well? And then they're obviously now, but it sounds like you're going to take them all out of their butter with the way you're going.
Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. You're obviously mad about meat, and you're mad about your steak club and your steaks. So when you have your steak club, do you go to each other's houses and cook, or do you go to restaurants?
Well, at the moment, not really going anywhere, but
in a normal world.
But in the normal world, we do. Obviously, it's one of the benefits of living in London. You've got so many great places to eat on your doorstep. So, it's as much as possible, kind of, out and about, seeing places. But at the same time, we love to cook at home as well. I'm a member of a few different kind of WhatsApp groups as well, which are always kind of sharing inspirational concepts, ideas, and stuff like that. So always looking to do things. And
when you go along to these restaurants, do you take some of your butter so you can just add some? Yeah.
I have done. Try not to be too overt in terms of our sales pitching, but we have done, and often talk about it, especially in when we go to restaurants where you think it might be a good fit.
Yeah, benefit them.
But for the most part, at this moment in time, our focus is more on retail product than a restaurant product. I mean, wholesale is a different thing altogether. You're selling to different people, and from a flavored butter perspective, many of the good restaurants like to do it themselves anyway.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's better suited for us to be in retail, and I really think from our perspective as well, the brand is really it.
Your really branding is lovely, I have to say. They look really smart. I love the colours. I love the logo of the cow with the top hat on.
Yeah, so we're trying to reflect a bit of the kind of creative, the intelligent humour, which is typified in kind of English culture, and the Sublime Society of the beefsteak was an absolutely bonkers idea, and the fact that it went on for so long and went on from the creation of it at the early doors. And just to give you an indication of the guy who set it up, John Rich, he was well known back then for being very much an innovator in theatre in London. So he was the first person who did like pyrotechnics on the stage. He'd reenact a battle and do a cannonball being exploded. So back then that was something that theatre goers had never seen before. So that kind of creative, innovative spirit is something which I want to live through the Sublime brand as well. And also, as we grow and evolve, perhaps exploring the concepts of theatre as well, because ultimately Sublime Society was created through theatre, and I love the concept of utilising theatre for our brand in some ways.
Now, how are you going to get butter onto the theatre? I want to know.
Well, there's many ways you can use theatre as a brand platform.
Yeah.
My background is I spent 5 years of my life working for the fashion brand Diesel in Italy at a time when it was probably one of the most creative companies in the world. And so I had the good fortune of working with some of the most creative people on a fantastic brand, and just to really understand how brands can grow and evolve across a multitude of different platforms. And the platform itself doesn't necessarily have to relate to your product identically, but it can share the same spirit or values as your company. So I think that's just one of a number of different areas that we'll consider exploring.
Amazing. And just tell us, where can people find it? Because I think you only supply to small, privately independent retailers, or are you about to leap into the supermarkets?
We have an idea on this, because at the end of the day, we really want to support independent shops, and you know, that's where ultimately our journey started, in butcher shops, independent butcher shops and farm shops. And even just knocking on those doors in the early days, you know, some of the feedback that we'd get would be, you know, we've seen this is a great product, we'd love to stock it, but you know, we know the story here. Great products like this, you stay with us for a couple of years and then you end up in a supermarket and you don't, and then, you know, it's kind of, you know,
yeah, we help you and then you leave us.
Exactly. So we've got a concept here, and this is around kind of product segmentation. So
yeah,
if you look at the numbers on the front of the packs, originally, because I've always, literally since the very beginning, thought of breadth of collection, because there's so many different flavors that you can add to butter to create different experiences for different foods and different ingredients and so on. So what I wanted to create was this perception of a range of products. So that's why there's a slight randomness in the numbers that we've created. You know, it's not just products 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just like 1 and then 19 and then 12 and then whatever. Christmas is 25. And I've given some thought to this as well. And my thinking behind this is that from a segmentation point of view, we will restrict what we ever do in the supermarkets to a certain number range, and there'll be the more kind of mainstream flavors. So, you know, certainly the number 1, the number 5 as well, the garlic and herb. We'd like to explore some other kind of more mainstream flavors as well, such as perhaps a garlic flavor, and the high numbers will be restricted to the butcher shops and farm shops. So we'll continue to supply the butchers and farm shops throughout the years with products that you can only get in those places, but then the supermarkets will stock the kind of more mainstream products.
Possibly the shops will have the private independents will have more exotic flavors, and the supermarkets will have easier flavors that suit everyone.
Exactly, yeah.
Have you ever thought of doing, you might have thought it might be your Christmas, I don't know, but have you ever thought of doing a sweet one?
Well, as a part of our exploration of flavors that will go with breakfast, you know, we've started toying with a few different flavors. You can imagine what they'd be, kind of marmalade and that kind of stuff. And we will definitely want to do some sweet ones. The Christmas butter is somewhat sweet, and next year we're thinking of doing our take on a pancake butter.
Oh, okay, nice. That sounds nice. No, I was just thinking this afternoon when I was researching you that, you know, to just have a flavoured butter and spread it on some nice sourdough. Yeah. And off you go. So then, okay, if you do the marmalade one, for example, people don't need butter and marmalade. They're short on time. They just spread it on.
Exactly.
Out they walk, and they've got their, you know,
that's the idea.
Seville buttered marmalade all in one spread. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, there are so many things you can do. For example, you know, we've been toying with the idea of like the ultimate kind of bacon sandwich butter as well. So, you know, I mean, literally, it's endless what you can do.
Yeah, it is. Once you've just started to scratch the surface.
Yeah, exactly. We probably have, as well as the 7 products in our range right now, we probably have another 10 ideas that we're currently working on. And, you know, we're going to be doing 2 new product development days a year. So we'll release at least 1 or 2 at each of those. So, you know, we don't want to go too fast, and also we don't want to spread the collection too thinly.
Yeah. So
we want to focus on, at this moment in time, we want to focus on products which are going to sell to the masses. So that's what the garlic and herb is, certainly along those lines, and of course the number 1 is as well.
What is your number 1 seller?
Well, at this moment, it's the truffle.
Sorry, just say again. We froze then.
The truffle parmesan and black pepper.
That, I think, sounds amazing. Absolutely amazing. Someone said, I struggle to get hold of your product. So where can people get it?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is challenges of growing.
You're a very new business. I think we have to say that. You've only just started. You only launched your business before Christmas, And so
it's actually we launched last April, but you can say the first 6 months were you know, in beta phase really. So we really only kind of stepped it up towards the end of last year.
Okay.
But yeah, in terms of, you know, where we are right now, you know, we're having so many inbound inquiries at the moment, you know, probably, you know, up to 5 every single day. And, you know, managing the distribution of butter to all of these new clients when we're on, you know, when we are, you know, we have to work within the processes of production that the farm, you know, that the farm enable us to do. So it is quite tricky managing it. We're doing our best, and you know, at the same time as well, butcher shops and farm shops. You know, when you start working with the larger retailers, people like Bailey and Sage or Farmerson or Donald Russell, you know, these guys have in place proper buying teams and, you know, all the right processes to ensure that, you know, as soon as the stocks run out, they'll be replenished. Whereas butcher shops and farm shops operate on a slightly different way, and you know, often, you know, if they run out, they just won't order any until you call them. So the communication with butchers and farm shops can be quite challenging, especially when we're up to like 160 of them right now. So you know, proper communications job, that account management job, and then, you know, ensuring that we have enough stock and supply at the right time, because we don't want to produce too much, because, you know, obviously there's sell-by dates on the product.
We want it to be fresh.
Yeah, we want it to be fresh as possible. So when we produce it, we look to get it into our customers within 24 hours, often maybe 48 max. So they'll get it straight from the farm as quickly as possible.
Do you also do Farm Drop sell it?
Not yet. I think we may have contacted them. Recently, but yeah, that's exactly the kind of, you know, company that we're looking to build up with right now, because, you know, it is a bit frustrating, and you know, it's frustrating for us as well to see comments, you know, from our customers that they can't get hold of our butter, because, you know, that's all we're looking to do is get it into the hands of people, and, you know, but at the same time, you know, we are doing our best to kind of expand that reach, so that we're able to direct people to a number of different places, options where they can go to get it.
I'd say look on your website, because you can look on your website and you actually list everyone who sells it, and you can go on a map and look in your area, or otherwise just call up a delivery from Farmerson or Donald Russell. Farmerson if you're vegetarian, because you can order vegetables, meat, fish, dry goods, all sorts of lovely things.
Yeah, and we are actually going to introduce our own D2C at some point this year as well.
Okay.
The concept is going to be a butter box, so you can subscribe to a butter box, and, you know, get once every 6 weeks get a package. I don't know about you, but we get through an awful lot of butter in this house.
I love butter. We're only butter and olive oil. That's all I will put in this house.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, someone's saying Farmerson is always out of stock at the moment, but I think you just, as Chris has just explained, it's very challenging times, and you have to be patient, and maybe you write to them and say, when it comes back into stock, alert me, or look on the map.
Just so you know, it's coming. They're restocking tomorrow.
Okay, there you go. Hot off the press. It came. And can I ask you, because you've got some very exciting possible news, and I wish you all the very best with it. You're listed twice for winning something on the World Dairy Innovation Awards.
Yeah, we find out tomorrow.
Yeah, the 16th. Fingers crossed, I hope, for you.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, it's great. It's great news. We've been. It's the World Food Dairy Awards. So Food Bev. And we've been nominated in two categories. One is the best butter, which would be amazing, and the other is the best new brand. So we're up against some stiff competition. I think we're up against like $1 billion brand of one of them. So
I really hope you win. I really hope you win. Yeah. Now that you've just told me that, even more so. And also, you were listed in the Sunday Times as one of the best craft butters. And that's what's so nice. It's artisan, it's craft, it's proper butter.
Yeah, exactly. And also, it's there's some other great products out there on the market as well, and so we were featured. I think the journalist who did the feature picked up the fact that there were a few new kind of butters hitting the market that were a bit different to kind of traditional butters. So and her feature was it was just picking some of those top 5 brands out and just writing up a nice little feature. So it was a lovely little feature to have, and also it's great to make connections with some of the other producers as well who are doing similar kind of products to us as well.
That's nice.
It's actually who initiated the giveaway? Moose Maple initiated this great concept whereby we all teamed up together and we did a kind of a giveaway. So all the other butters that were in that article as well, we all did a kind of collective giveaway. So it's lovely, isn't it? So we're all making kind of similar-ish products, but I love the spirit of working together with all these different companies to do something like that as well. It's just a nice idea.
Can I ask you, I know you've got the chimichurri, but would you do another butter that's got a bit more kick and spice and heat, and it's solely sort of the kick butter, the piri piri butter or whatever?
We are working on one.
Okay, because I'm addicted to chilies.
Yeah, it's a sneak preview.
I'm loving it. Have you just brought that back from the dairy?
No, that's our development chef Tony Ho. He has been working up a few different ideas, and that's one of them there. It's good. It's good.
Amazing. I like the sound of that.
Also, we've actually just we've just tweaked the flavors for the truffle and also the chimichurri as well. So this next batch that we are picking up tomorrow, that went out today, has got the new flavors in it as well. So last year we entered the Great Taste Awards, and we picked up 1 star for our chimichurri, but we really took on board the feedback that we got from the judges, and we went back and redid all of our recipes, and they're significantly improved. So we've really made them a lot better, and let's hope this year we're going to end up with more than 1 star. But
1 star when you've only just launched is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we were very proud of that. I mean, the great tastes are, it's the Oscars of food in Britain, really, isn't it? So just to get 1 star at our first attempt we were very proud of. And fingers crossed we might get a few more this year. Who knows?
Can I ask you, have you got another job going, and this is your sort of growing job, or not?
Yeah, well, so I do. Yeah, my work in technology. I have two technology businesses, and in fact, one is called Edit.com, which is a software for publishing, and the other is called Edge Network. And Edge Network is it's infrastructure, peer-to-peer infrastructure, so hosting, that kind of stuff, the places that websites live.
Okay. Okay.
And so technology is, I've always worked in internet technologies throughout my career, even when I was working at Diesel. Food has always been my passion. So my kind of like my 2 worlds are coming together now, my passion for food and my knowledge of technology. So obviously digital marketing and digital development for Sublime, but also I'm working on a couple of other projects as well at this moment in time. One you should check out, it's called Cook Along TV.
Yes, I was going to ask you about this, that you've sort of launched, isn't it?
Yeah, it's launching this week. So towards the beginning of lockdown, I was invited by a Twitter friend of mine to join him on it was his birthday, and he's a chef, and he wanted to do something, and so he invited me and a few of his other friends to do this kind of virtual cooking thing with him, where we all went out and bought some ingredients, and then we came home and he kind of guided us through the whole process, and it was fun. It was great, even though I didn't know any of the other people on the call, but it was a really different experience. And I think kind of during the lockdown, video chat has become something that, has become the new norm.
Yeah.
And so the whole concept with Cook Along TV was kind of inspired by that. And the next day I thought, well, I could put something together here to ultimately, the initial idea was to raise funds for charity. Mm-hmm. And so what the idea was quite simple. We would find a bunch of different celebrities who would host these virtual cook-alongs at home, and you can enter a raffle, an online raffle, for the chance to win a seat at that kind of virtual cooking table with the celebrity that you wanted to be with. And that's launching this week. We've got about 25 celebrities signed up. The first auction will go live, fingers crossed, on Thursday. Alex Jones is going to be doing that one for us, which is fantastic. And then we have a load more celebrities and celebrity chefs as well. And that's phase one. And then what we're going to be doing shortly after is moving Cook Along into a platform for restaurants to essentially generate more revenue, because when this lockdown ends, the thing is, social distancing is undoubtedly going to remain in place for some time, and many restaurants that we frequent, they simply can't handle 50% reduction in covers. It's just not going to be
viable.
possible. It's not viable. For some of them it wouldn't even cover the rent. And so what we want to do with Cook Along TV is turning it into a platform for restaurants and for chefs to create new revenue. So essentially the whole idea is, you're seeing it already. I mean, a lot of the restaurants are starting to do kind of like their restaurant boxes, and you can buy them and they send them to you. So it's, in many ways, it's that kind of concept.
Yeah.
But what we're looking to do is add another layer.
You've got love hearts flying up.
Oh, great. The second part of it is just adding a bit of experience. And in my thinking, restaurants, one of the things that excites me when I go into the restaurant is an open kitchen. I love
an open kitchen. I'm with you.
I love to be as close to the chefs as I possibly can. And obviously, that only happens in a handful of restaurants. I mean, it's great when it does. So the thing behind Cook Along TV is that it kind of adds a new dimension to cooking. You're not having the chef prepare the food for you. You might have done some pre-preparation, but he's there to talk you through it. So you can have a virtual dinner party where, because let's be honest, I mean, many people just love this kind of new Zoom house party generation, because it's there's no arguments about who's going to get the first Uber home or whatever else like that. When you want to go to bed, you just press the red button and off you go, kind of thing. And it is in many ways it's great. So kind of tapping into all of these things, the big strong desire for increasing knowledge about food at home and great quality produce, the fact that wholesale distribution has opened up from wholesalers direct to consumer, the fact that restaurants are desperately in need of new sources of revenue, and so on. All these ideas are coming together to form what will hopefully be a kind of a popular kind of platform for cooking. And so, the idea is that in many ways, the technology side of this is going to make people's life a lot easier. So the whole concept could be tied in. Maybe you could do like a virtual cookbook where you can plan your week, and then one click and all the ingredients come directly to your home from a card or something, whatever it might be. So that kind of stuff, or from local producers, whatever it may be.
Very clever. And you've obviously got an Instagram for Cook Along.
Yeah, it's Cook Along TV, at Cook Along TV,
okay.
And that's on Twitter as well. We're just getting going now, so there's only 120 followers or something. So.
And you're heading that up?
Yeah, well, it's my idea, but it's happening. It's happening only because of the people who've been involved in the project, as all the things I do. So I might kind of come up with the ideas, but they only happen because the brilliant people that I work with, and it was very timely, let's say, because at the beginning of the lockdown, a lot of people were either on furlough. Friends of mine were either on furlough, or their company, or their business, that they had their own companies and their business had gone down considerably. So there's a lot of talent amongst your immediate kind of circle of friends, and when you're in a situation whereby people have got a lot of time on their hands, it's a case of kind of pulling in all your friends together, selling them the idea, the vision, and making them a part of it. So we've got a great team in place.
Fantastic.
And we speak daily. We haven't had a single meeting face to face yet. Yet we're about to launch the business.
You're living your business.
I know, it's great. I mean, I've been working remotely for 8 years now, since we launched our current technology company.
Yeah.
So it's nothing new for me personally. I've been doing it for some time now, and I think there's huge benefits of working remotely. Obviously, the time that you save when you're commuting to work. I mean, wherever you live, it's always kind of an hour there and back every day, isn't it? So that's 2 hours. That's a whole working day every week. That's just spent on the tubes or the trains or whatever. And so
I think it's the way forward for a lot of people, that they'll mix and match it, which is great.
I mean, we live kind of under the flight path as well at Heathrow, so it's quite nice to have the air that's kind of a bit cleaner, and there's the sound of planes overhead is kind of less frequent.
Yeah. Can I just ask you a few questions to round off?
Yeah.
Your favourite cut of steak, since you love your steaks?
Well, that is a tricky question for me. I mean, I would say if I had to pick one, it would probably be picanha.
Okay.
I've been visiting Brazil for 10 or 11 years now. We've got some very good friends of ours own a hotel over there, in a place called Trancoso. And when I went out there first with Tilly, I think Tilly was pregnant with our eldest at the time, so that was 11 years ago. So I was introduced to this cut called picanha, and it's essentially you're starting to see it. You've started to see it in this country for the last five or 6 years, but before that, I'd only ever had it in Brazil, and it's top rump, so it's kind of quite a lot of fat on the steak itself. But when it's cooked slowly, or on a barbecue, then you get the flavour of the fat goes into the meat, and it's just something special.
And it goes with your chimichurri, so that was possibly why you had one of your first butters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that was, yeah.
And what's your favourite film, book, chef that's associated with food?
Well, I mean, you know what I'd love, and this is one of the things which I hope to achieve with the brand as well, is I'd like to tell the story of Beef and Liberty, the Sublime Society of the Beefsteak, because I find it such an interesting story, a little bit of English history that very, very few people know about, but it's so fantastic. So I think when it comes to the brand Sublime, that's the story that I'd like to tell, and it's written by a guy called Ben Rogers.
Okay.
Beef and Liberty.
Thank you. That's great. And what's your favourite kitchen tool?
Probably my sous vide.
Oh, do you use a sous vide? Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's fantastic.
And you flavour things and cook your fish slowly, or your meat, and then you sear it at the end?
So with the sous vide, we just chuck in the meat, put in some of our flavoured butter, seal it up, put it in the bath, and then leave it for however long it needs to be left in there for. We've been doing these short ribs. There's some what's the Ledbury restaurant.
Yes.
The supplier of meat to Ledbury restaurant has created an online shop, and you get the short ribs that were destined for the Ledbury. So the absolute best you'll get anywhere.
And which butcher was that?
Do you remember the name? The butcher shop who did the Leb. It's called
H.G. Walters.
No, it's not. I can't remember.
Okay.
If you Google, I could find it. But yeah. Just Google Ledbury meat supplier or something like that.
Okay. That's brilliant. Well, listen, it's been fantastic talking to you about your delicious, delicious butters. I wish you the very, very best of luck. And I hope it gets back into all shops so that everyone can buy
Everybody
it.
can get it.
And just keep looking at their website, and you can find out, or I'm sure you can send a message on that as well, because you don't want people to miss out on it, do you?
No. We're very aware of that.
And I want to know what your Christmas flavour is, so I'll keep watching you.
Yeah, brilliant.
I'll be your nosy scanner. Anyhow, thanks very much, everyone, and thanks very much, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.